Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Prince William and Charles, in shock after royal chief, revealed Camilla destroyed Diana's legacy. The changeover of residence at Clarence House required more than merely rearranging the furnishings. This was necessary when King Charles III and Queen Camilla established their conjugal home at Clarence House after their wedding in 2005. Personal remembrance, institutional symbols, and public expectation all have to be meticulously manipulated in order to accomplish this. The manner in which objects related to older time periods in royal history are handled sheds light on the manner in which a monarchy handles both continuity and change. This story revolves around a single meaningful picture, the official wedding photo of the former Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer. This picture is the focal point of the story. An important case study on how the intimate rooms of royal palaces are designed to represent shifting family dynamics while respecting historical legacies is offered by the management of the photograph, which includes its visibility, the context of its relocation, and the interpretations that have been assigned to it. Those who were engaged in the royal household were placed in a strategic position to see these shifts. Domestic staff members, who may include butlers, housekeepers, footmen, and cooks, are responsible for navigating both the public and private sections of a royal home on a regular basis. During their routines, they go from kitchens and service passageways to sumptuous staterooms and private family quarters. It is during these transitions that they detect the subtle changes that suggest a broader modification of the character of the home. Because of the rhythm of service and the customs of hospitality, workers are able to function as guardians of both objects and memories. They are in possession of an in-depth knowledge of which photographs are polished for state visits, which photographs are shown for family meals, and which photos are hidden behind closed doors so that only close relatives may see them. In his 15 years of experience working as a top chef in royal service, Darren McGrady has provided a clear and insightful insider perspective. He has provided his services to Queen Elizabeth II, Princess Diana, and the sons of the Prince and Princess of Wales. The close relationship that McGrady had with Diana at Kensington Palace, in addition to his extensive service within the larger royal household, provided him with the opportunity to observe and, as a result, articulate the manner in which particular personal belongings associated with the late princess were handled after Charles's marriage to Camilla Parker Bowles. The recollections of him and other former employees are significant not because they disclose private directions, but because they offer insight on the operating culture. Reforms are carried out in a realistic manner with dignity and discretion being prioritized above spectacle. McGrady and other former personnel have characterized the procedure as discreet rather than theatrical. It is said that photos and personal items associated with Princess Diana, including the iconic 1981 wedding image, were systematically relocated inside Clarence House. This was not executed as an act of hostility or intentional obliteration. Instead, it was conducted with the subdued, methodical diligence that typifies most of the domestic administration inside royal houses. The relocation of objects occurred with the domestic discretion characteristic of sensitive household transitions. Picture frames were removed from mantels, small items were repositioned to less conspicuous tables, and over time the visible narrative of a room began to mirror the identities of its present inhabitants. This gradual strategy also fulfilled a political objective. It avoided the appearance of a sudden public split while attaining the intended domestic impact sought by the new administration. The wedding image has significant importance in this tale due to its visual impact and the context of the event it memorializes. The nuptials of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer on 29th of July 1981 garnered international interest, with modern estimates indicating a global television viewership of about 750 million people. The official pictures from that day, particularly the one by Lord Snowdon in the throne room at Buckingham Palace, depicting Diana in her expansive David and Elizabeth Emanuel gown, exemplify great ceremonial portraiture. They were established to signify a dynastic occasion and to provide a narrative of continuity and domestic stability for the House of Windsor. These photos serve many purposes to confirm the line of succession, to represent the family's public persona, and to provide visual references for both personal commemoration and political strategy. Due to their dual role as familial keepsakes and public artifacts, framed reproductions of those images were exhibited throughout the royal residences in Buckingham Palace, for visiting dignitaries in Kensington Palace within Diana's personal quarters, and in Clarence House among the family's more private displays. Portraits in this register perform significant semiotic functions. Displaying a wedding photo in a reception area signifies familial unity and heritage. Positioning it in a sitting room conveys closeness, while situating it in a private study preserves its identity as a personal artifact rather than a symbol of the institution. The placement of these photos reflects the narrative the family wants to convey. Following Diana's death in 1997, these photographs had a heightened poignancy. What was once a symbol of marital promise and the future of an heir became relics of a life prematurely ended and a representation of a well-recognized personal sorrow. The images, therefore, conveyed several significances: personal memorials for individuals acquainted with Diana, public artifacts for a country and an international audience captivated by the royal family's narrative, and institutional items that enriched the visual documentation of a contemporary monarchy. In the years subsequent to her demise, Diana emerged as a focal point of national grief and international intrigue, with anything linked to her photographs, garments, correspondence, gaining enhanced symbolic significance. The management of these things therefore evolved into a concern not only of domestic aesthetics, but also of collective remembrance. Upon Charles's marriage to Camilla in 2005, the couple established Clarence House as their joint residence in London. Charles had adopted Clarence House as his official domicile in 2003, following renovations completed after the demise of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Consequently, the display of their wedding portraits in the home's primary public areas became a sensitive issue. McGrady and other insiders indicate that the household's strategy included reinterpreting the home's visual story to honor the importance of Diana's image, while accommodating the practicalities of establishing a domestic setting for the new pair. Instead of orchestrating a public removal or releasing a statement that would provoke discussion, the home staff characterized a gradual, deliberate relocation of Diana-related items from the reception areas and hallways open to visitors, workers, and journalists. This kind of re-siting aligns with the methods used by big institutional homes in managing their collections and domestic exhibitions. A clear distinction exists between the public or official sections of a royal residence staterooms, drawing rooms, and formal reception areas, and the private sections, bedroom, study, and family sitting rooms. The former are designed for tourists and institutional presentation. The latter represent the personal preferences and domestic lives of the residents. An image that once served a public role as proof of a dynastic relationship may be transformed into a private asset, stored in a study or personal archive, without being destroyed or rendered inaccessible to those with a rightful claim to it. Conservators and curators at royal institutions see these transitions as choices that include both the preservation of materials and the construction of narratives. Transferring a historically significant photograph from a primary receiving area to an archive necessitates cataloging, documenting provenance and condition, and determining future accessibility of the item. Symbolically, it transforms the photograph's function from a public declaration to a record of familial history. The Royal Collection Trust, staffed by experienced catalogers and conservators, is dedicated to providing stewardship by maintaining things for study and exhibition, even when they are temporarily removed from public display. Discussions with insiders and the established practices inside royal homes indicate various likely outcomes for the wedding image. It is very plausible that the image was moved to the Royal Collection Trust, the institution tasked with the conservation, classification, and exhibition of things held in trust by the sovereign for the country. The trust's duty includes the conservation of paintings, pottery, and textiles, as well as the meticulous management of pictures, archive materials, and official souvenirs. Objects admitted to the royal collection are preserved under regulated conditions recorded in official catalogs and made accessible for display or academic inquiry. From the standpoint of institutional best practices, this would be an appropriate and respectful venue for a picture of considerable cultural importance. A second possible option is that the image was transferred to a secret safe location inside Clarence House. Royal homes often preserve personal archives and family chambers where artifacts of notable familial importance are stored. However, they remain excluded from the public areas of the home. In this context, the image may have been retained in the sovereign's private office, a secluded sitting room, or a familial archive accessible just to immediate relations, excluding the visiting public. This approach maintains the object's family function, while recognizing that the public representation of the house, what visitors, staff, and television tours observe, must accurately depict the current residents. Another theory is that replicas of the image were given to Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. Both princes have actively participated in maintaining and celebrating their mother's memory in both public and private spheres. It would align with family tradition for an important picture to be transferred to her offspring. Their residences and public displays, exhibitions, monuments, and many occasions honoring their mother demonstrate a family guardianship that often aligns with the broader institutional management of the monarchy. Delegating such objects to close family members is a prevalent practice in several families, including those of famous figures. Artifacts of significant emotional worth are sometimes preserved within the family, while institutional replicas may be maintained by museums or governmental collections. The transition of the image from a prominent public setting to a more private or archive environment should not be seen only from the perspective of personal animosity. Royal homes are administered under a defined framework of staff and customs. Decisions about the exhibition in public spaces are seldom unilateral actions by an individual. The Master of the Household's Department, a long-standing administrative entity within the royal household tasked with overseeing domestic servants and managing the daily operations of the royal palaces, often supervises such changes. The department collaborates with royal curators, conservators, and the primary residents of a property to ensure that the residence's presentation fulfills ceremonial hospitality and personal purposes well. In instances when a marriage results in a reconfiguration of the home, the curatorial team will closely observe the visual cues presented by photographs, mementos, and other personal artifacts. The decision-making process often includes a succession of discussions. Curators may provide guidance on the conservation and interpretative ramifications of relocation. The Master of the Household will provide counsel on the logistical aspects of rooms access and security, and the private secretary or other senior aides may assess the anticipated public reaction. The family thus represents a diminutive bureaucratic culture characterized by professional rules and regulations. Such relocations often transpire without press announcements. This absence of publicity is a calculated strategy to mitigate public sensitivities and facilitate the home environment's adjustment to its new structure without provoking rapid remark. Insiders and pundits indicate that the removal of objects associated with Diana from the main reception halls was executed as part of a comprehensive and deliberate rebranding aimed at adapting Clarence House for the couple's joint existence. The family deemed it politically and personally uncomfortable to maintain a prominent exhibition of a ceremonial wedding photo of Charles with his deceased first wife in the main areas where the new Duchess of Cornwall would entertain visitors, conduct meetings, and fulfill official duties. The decision to remove or relocate the portrait was therefore contextualized inside the family as an act of prudence and consideration, not to erase Diana's memories, but to prevent the new resident Camilla from being constantly reminded of a prior marital phase. The objective, as articulated by observers of the process, was to enable the new couple to live in a home setting that mirrored their union, while preserving alternative avenues and settings for honoring and commemorating Diana's memory. This method of managing material legacy within the royal family reflects wider institutional practices. A visual realignment sometimes occurs when new reigns begin or when the inhabitants of an official home shift. Historic residences globally experience curatorial modifications that signify shifting identities. A monarch's preferences are evident in the choice of portraits displayed in public hallways. A prime minister's official abode may incorporate photographs that emphasize a specific political affiliation or personal inclination. The White House, for instance, alters some furniture and portraits with each administration. Official houses in parliamentary systems also modify interiors to accommodate new occupants, constrained by historical designation and public significance. The monarchy is analogous in this regard. Upon Elizabeth II's ascension to the throne, the ambiance of Buckingham Palace transformed to mirror the tastes and official persona of the new monarch. Such alterations are integral to the customary modernization that follows generational transitions in any institutional residence. In addition to logistical and administrative considerations, the issue of agency who made the decisions and the rationale behind them has incited inquiry. Some pundits and members of the public often assume that Camilla personally directed the removal of the image. Available testimonies indicate a more nuanced reality. The action was likely not a solitary personal request, but rather part of a coordinated procedure executed by home experts in collaboration with the householder and with consideration for the public perception of the choice. Attributing the action to a single individual's direct engagement diminishes a multifaceted coordinated endeavor to a mere anecdote that fails to represent the operational dynamics of royal families. Furthermore, the household's objective in these situations is often to uphold the dignity of each family member. Choices are made to honor the emotions of the living, the memory of the deceased, and the sensitivities of a public mind full of symbols. The handling of the portrait also relates to how King Charles has personally managed the legacy of his two marriages. He has never expounded on the specifics of his previous marriage in public. Nonetheless, in private, and by his public actions, he has shown regard for Diana's memory, especially with their boys. Reports suggest that he has endorsed ceremonies honoring his late wife's philanthropic efforts, and has motivated William and Harry in their endeavors to perpetuate her public interests. The establishment of a residence for Charles and Camilla required a recalibration of domestic symbolism to reflect their union. Insiders indicate that Charles saw these alterations as essential, a calculated realignment of certain symbols to accommodate both physically and symbolically the home now under his leadership with his second wife. The process required reconciling reverence for memory with the pragmatic need of establishing a setting in which the present family could operate smoothly devoid of incessant reminders of a distressing history. Although the picture of Diana at Clarence House may have been relegated from public view, her public legacy has been intentionally maintained and enhanced in several other venues and formats. Kensington Palace, the former mansion of Diana, currently serves partially as a public museum and as the official London domicile of the Prince and Princess of Wales. It features exhibits that display her clothing, public activities, and curated personal artifacts. These displays function as both memorialization and curated narratives on her influence. Exhibitions at Kensington and other institutions depict Diana's life via contextual labels, timelines, and loans that situate her work and identity within political and cultural contexts. Items shown at Kensington are complemented by explanatory captions that contextualize Diana's public endeavors within cultural and humanitarian frameworks, transforming personal relics into tales of contemporary royalty, stardom, and social transformation. Public monuments such as the Diana Memorial Fountain in Hyde Park and the statue commissioned by her sons located in the Sunken Garden at Kensington serve as civic sites for commemoration and contemplation. The venues and displays at Kensington reflect an institutional strategy, although private residences adapt to changes in inhabitants' designated public places, and official commemorations act as repositories of an individual's public memory. Such judgments are essential since they define the boundaries between familial and national ownership. A public monument or memorial garden engages residents in a communal act of memory in ways that a private image in a home environment cannot. Diana's boys have responded to the alteration of their father's residence via private discussion and public posturing. Prince William and Prince Harry have not publicly addressed the particular management of the wedding photos at Clarence House, and there is no public documentation of personal dissent or formal criticism. Their decisions in other contexts, via monuments, the management of Diana's public image in exhibits and within intimate family dynamics exhibit another kind of custodianship. Prince Harry's 2023 memoir, Spare, offers an unvarnished reflection on his emotions, on his familial lineage, and Camilla's influence. He discusses the protracted and sometimes arduous journey by which public attitudes evolved and Camilla's public rehabilitation occurred. Prince William has adopted a more measured public demeanor. He has interacted with Camilla at public engagements and seemingly acknowledges the family's present structure in public. Both princes have unequivocally said that their mother's memory is paramount among their households. They have emphasized the significance of sharing images, narratives, and experiences with their children, ensuring that Diana's impact and presence are conveyed via household traditions, despite changes in the official representations of the monarchy. Media attention has intensified and at times obfuscated these private conversations. Post-remarriage tabloid conjecture often depicted home alterations as indicative of competition or insensitivity, but more thoughtful analyses highlighted the institutional standards of curatorship and discretion. The tabloid's insatiable need for symbolic minutiae, such as seating arrangements and the placement of photographs, implied that every alteration at Clarence House may be seen as a calculated, if not spiteful, gesture. Household professionals have to consider not just conservation methods, but also the potential media narratives that any observable changes would provoke. The gradual, understated method of relocating Diana-related things might be seen as a tactic to avoid sensationalist interpretations. The visible proof of Clarence House's reorientation is available to the discerning viewer. Images and broadcast footage captured within the residence in the years following Charles's occupancy, particularly post the 2005 nuptials, depict new official portraits of Charles and Camilla, as well as the couple undertaking their official duties, frequently photographed at their Scottish estate Birkhall or during tours. Images of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, together with recent images of William and Harry, were more prominent in the public areas of the residence. A documentary created to commemorate Charles's 70th birthday in 2018 provided one of the most comprehensive public insights inside Clarence House in recent years. Observers remarked upon the inviting literature-laden surroundings, the curated art arrangement, and the discernible personal imprint of the inhabitants. The conspicuous absence of Diana's bridal photos from the communal areas in the movie was evident to several onlookers, and corroborated what insiders had indicated, that the common living spaces had been meticulously arranged to reflect the existing household's lifestyle and objectives. The visual rebranding process inside a royal residence transcends aesthetics. It encompasses narrative management and the equilibrium of private sorrow with public symbols. The monarchy as an institution must always manage its visual identity to convey both continuity and relevance. Decisions over what to display and what to remove cater to many audiences. Concurrently, the family house guests staff the national public and foreign media that interpret these actions and assign significance. The specific repositioning of a portrait is not only a solitary domestic action, it is a singular element within a network of curatorial decisions that influence the narrative the monarchy conveys about itself at any particular time. The management of Diana's image at Clarence House exemplifies how history is conserved, even when rendered less conspicuous in certain situations. Transferring a picture from a public couch to a private study or to a professionally curated collection modifies its purposes while preserving its presence. In archive terminology, This reclassification is a type of stewardship. The object is transitioned from a tool for presentational display to a record preserved for posterity study and selected remembrance. The Royal Collection Trust and the household's curatorial team function meticulously to preserve artifacts of historical importance and provide their accessibility in suitable venues, including exhibits, museum loans, and academic research as circumstances require. Conservation practices create limitations while presenting opportunity. Photographs, particularly vintage prints, are vulnerable to light exposure, chemical degradation, and physical deterioration. Transferring them to regulated archival storage is often the most effective method to ensure their long-term preservation. Professional conservators will advise on humidity, temperature, and lighting settings that reduce deterioration. Common treatments may include mounting with acid-free matting, using UV filtering, glazing, storing in buffered preservation boxes, and implementing limited handling practices to mitigate physical stress. Upon transfer to institutional care, such things may be digitized, photographed for catalogs and made accessible for academic study, or curated displays that contextualize the object within wider historical narratives. Consequently, the physical removal of items from a household's public spaces may correspond with enhanced visibility in alternative contexts. A valued portrait may be less accessible to visitors at Clarence House, but more prominent in an exhibition or catalog that contextualizes Diana's life within the social history of the late 20th century. Digitization alters the conditions of access and academic inquiry. High-resolution photographs obtained under controlled settings enable curators to create copies for research without exposing the original to hazardous exhibition environments. Digital surrogates may be used in online catalogs, allowing scholars and the public to access photos without jeopardizing conservation efforts. Loan policies also provide a mechanism to reconcile local sensitivities with the overarching public interest. Artifacts may be loaned for temporary displays under stringent criteria pertaining to environmental controls, transportation, insurance, and security. Consequently, a single object might assume several functions throughout time, family, heirloom, institutional, relic, exhibition item, each function shaped by distinct professional criteria and audiences. The narrative of the wedding photos highlights a significant contrast between a private residence and a public legacy. At Clarence House, the portrayal of the household, its representation, the visitors it hosts, and the imagery associated with these events was modified to align with the lives and endeavors of its current residents. Beyond that private sphere, Princess Diana's life and public accomplishments have been perpetuated and honored in dedicated public monuments and exhibits. The photograph's removal from the main reception areas of Clarence House was not an act of erasure, but rather a redistribution of memory to suitable environments, private home areas for habitation, and official public places for institutional remembrance. Recognizing this as a process of compartmentalization elucidates why specific things are curated differently in various contexts. Families, organizations, and governments systematically classify objects into categories: private, public, ceremonial, and archival, each associated with certain expectations for accessibility and interpretation. The monarchy, operating as both a private dynasty and a public institution, must be especially vigilant about these divisions. The curators and home managers fulfill a twin mandate addressing the needs of current residents while safeguarding the institution's legacy for future generations. The treatment of such an image exemplifies the monarchy's continuous endeavor to harmonize personal narratives with the requirements of public representation. This is an exercise in sensitivity towards family members, domestic workers who oversee everyday operations, and a country that has intricate sentiments over one of its most documented individuals. The meticulous and often subdued curatorial choices in these contexts reveal a broader institutional reality. The monarchy has historically operated as both a private lineage and a public emblem, necessitating that the artifacts inside its residences fulfill both roles at various periods and in diverse environments. The specific instance of Princess Diana's wedding image at Clarence House is notable not for exemplifying the most blatant kind of cultural revisionism, but for demonstrating how contemporary royal families navigate the dichotomy between commemoration and modernity. The portrait's relocation, whether to safe storage, a private study, or the royal collection, allowed Clarence House to transform into a place that reflects the union of King Charles and Queen Camilla. The institutional and public commemorations of Diana at Kensington Palace in public monuments and via her boys' activities guaranteed her enduring presence in the national memory remained strong and prominent. The physical reconfiguration of a single picture reflects the extensive continual efforts of a historic organization to accommodate the demands of modern family life while safeguarding the documents and memories that constitute its past. This extensive effort remains relevant today. The administration of artifacts inside royal residences encompassing their exhibition, preservation, relocation, and interpretation continues to be a domain where personal sentiment and civic responsibility converge. Every picture, teacup, and framed image has layers of personal significance, institutional connotation, and societal expectation. Effectively managing them requires a blend of professional expertise, interpersonal finesse, and historical insight. The subtle reconfiguration of Clarence House's interiors post-2005 exemplifies the application of these qualities not via ostentation, but by deliberate, thoughtful measures that recognize the emotional suffering of families alongside the public's fascination with the monarchy's visual representation. Examining the activity within a historical perspective provides further context. Historically, rulers and elites have used portraiture and domestic exhibition to construct political narratives. Monarchs from the Tudor era forward commissioned pictures to assert legitimacy and dynastic continuity. The emergence of photography democratized portraiture, facilitating broader circulation of photographs and fostering new kinds of mediated intimacy between the public and the royal family. The democratization serves as a vital backdrop for comprehending Diana's distinctive role. She epitomized not just royal continuity, but also a novel, celebrity-driven closeness that media technologies enhanced. Her photographs therefore acquired a significance that went beyond the conventional roles of royal portraiture. They served as both an official record and a cultural artifact of public appeal. Consequently, managing such pictures requires an awareness of the many audiences who interact with them. The repositioning of the wedding photo by Clarence House after 2005 exemplifies a modern application of enduring curatorial principles tailored to the demands of current media culture. Instead of being a limited, spiteful removal, it is more accurately understood as a series of expert assessments on the optimal placement of memory within diverse institutional and family settings. The action exemplifies the notion that the presentation inside a home environment is not just a historical account, but also a deliberate expression of the current occupants and the perception of their habitation. In summary, the photograph's motion represents a little but illuminating instance in the ongoing administration of royal memory. It illustrates the interaction between personal sorrow and public memorialization, between curatorial diligence and home pragmatism, and between a family's aspiration for a life devoid of continual reminders of previous anguish and the public's insistence on access to the emblems of its national narrative. The result, calibrated, systematic, and considerate of many stakeholders, illustrates how the monarchy reconciles its two responsibilities to exist as a family and to be commemorated as an institution. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and share it.